Stand by for possible overdose.
It started with prescription opioids. This time it's heroin cut with fentanyl, and it's easy to find on the street for cheap.
We always try to get them back, but they don't always come back.
Hello, my name is Jeff Pruitt. I'm the Rockingham County Opioid Resource and Safety Coordinator. The purpose of this event is to discuss the opioid epidemic in Rockingham County. Over the past 10 to 20 years, we have seen a definite increase in overdoses and overdose deaths in our county. We're going to show that our county representatives, our county government, individual businesses, treatment centers are all working together to reduce our number of overdoses and overdose deaths in the county. One thing I get when I'm out in the community is people walk up to me and say, I have a loved one, I have a friend, or they may be someone themselves who is suffering from substance use disorder. Now, when we're talking about substance use disorder, we're not just talking about opioids. I want to put that out there. That is the big thing right now. But we're also talking about alcohol. We're talking about marijuana, stimulants. We're talking about opioids. So when we're looking at this, let's go across the board. But the big question I get is, what's available in Rockingham County? During this video and during this event, we hope to answer those questions. Sit at your home, at your business, and as we get this out into the community, to take the time to watch this, and that this really helps. Because at the end of this, we want to give you, the resident, the opportunity to give us feedback of what would you like to see in our county? What do we need? And maybe in the spring, our goal is to come back and look at this again. So again, please take your time, review this, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Hello, my name is Reese Pirtle, Rockingham County Commissioner. I was elected Commissioner back in 2016. I'm a lifelong resident of Rockingham County. Grew up, went to school here, graduated high school at Morehead High School, went up to Appalachian State where I graduated in 1989. I've moved back to our community because I care about our community. I started my career in law enforcement in 1990 with the Eden Police Department. I worked my way through the ranks with the Eden Police Department, and I retired in 2018 as the police chief. During my time as a detective working on the Drug Task Force, I had the occasion to investigate many crimes, and I've seen the influx of illicit drugs in our community. And during this time, it was crack cocaine. And we dealt with that harshly. We addressed the issues within the community. And as I moved up the chain of command and as my career progressed and I took other positions through the department, I got into an administrative position. But I was always in touch with what was going on in our community with illicit and illegal drugs. And one of the things that became obvious to me in the early 2000s and mid-2000s was the amount of pills that were being used by members of the community. And the stories I was hearing about the cost of buying a pill illegally on the street, a prescription pill, and how it was impacting the youth in our community. And it was very concerning. And then it progressed to, towards the end of my career, where we had heroin made its return. Did not have that much from the beginning of my career, but heroin come back because it became cheaper than the pills, and we progressed to meth. Seeing the impact on my community was very concerning. You know, we have a small community. Rockingham County is made up of about 91,000 people. The city of Eden, about 15,000 people. You know everybody. And one of the things that was very concerning is I was seeing friends and neighbors losing loved ones unnecessarily to opioid overdoses. And it wasn't unique just to Eden or Rockingham County or North Carolina. This was a problem that you could see the wave crossing our nation, a wave of opioid abuse that was impacting everyone. There's children whose parents had addictions, and these children lived and they continue to live in very unstable environments as a result of those addictions. So as a commissioner, when I was elected in 2016, one of the first things I did was I asked our Health and Human Services Director in March of 17 to start an opioid task force. The purpose of this task force was to get all the players in one room to see what we, within our community, could do without depending on the state of North Carolina or our federal government, what resources we have in Rockingham County. I wanted to make sure that we worked together in collaboration to address the quality of life issues in our community. And one of the things that we could do was start communicating. What were we doing? What were we doing right? What were we doing wrong? What could we do better? These were questions that task force tried to address. And in a few minutes, you're going to hear from someone who's going to tell you exactly what that task force has done. But let me just share this with you. I shared with you that I retired from law enforcement in 2018. In my second professional career, I went to work at one of our local funeral homes. And I can share with you that death of a loved one and helping a family through that grieving process is something that you won't forget if you've ever been a part of it. You know, I've had to share many times, I've had to inform someone that their loved one had died, and that's never easy. But now I've seen the back end of that when they're making arrangements and trying to put their loved one to rest. It's still tough. It's tough watching a family, a father and a mother bury their son, or being there when two teenage kids is burying a father. Opioid addiction doesn't discriminate. It don't care how old you are. It doesn't care what sex you are. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care your ethnicity. You know, we're losing too many people between the ages of 25 and 44. That's our largest population that gets addicted and dies. You know, we've tried to lower the death rate, and I think we've been successful. We need to continue to work together to address this problem facing our community. 42. The number of people that died last year from an opioid overdose. But together, we can work to reduce that number. We have to reduce that number. The people of Rockingham County deserve to get this poison out of our community and help those that are addicted. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jason Ramey. I'm the District Attorney for Rockingham and Caswell counties here in North Carolina. I've been the DA of Rockingham County since March of 2018. I became the DA of Caswell County as well in January of 2019. I've worked for the state of North Carolina for over 8 years as a prosecutor, and I've seen the devastating effects that drugs have had on this community, both in Rockingham and Caswell, but across the state of North Carolina. I've seen the families that have been torn apart. I've seen the crime. I've seen the strain that's on the Department of Social Services, and it's been a huge problem. But I've also seen it up close and personal. As a prosecutor for the state of North Carolina, I have prosecuted every kind of case that you can almost think of, from seatbelt tickets all the way up to first-degree murder and almost everything in between. And I can tell you that the strain of drug use has overwhelmed the court system. So many crimes have been committed by people that were addicted to drugs, that were trying to find a way to get another fix, I've seen the strain that the Department of Social Services has endured as so many children have been taken away from parents that are battling addictions to drugs, and the damage that does to their children. But I've also seen it up close and personal in my own life. I'd like to take you back to January 19th of 2005. I remember sitting on the couch just another morning. I was 18 years old. I was about to start college a few days later when my mother walked in with a look of terror on her face, which was very unusual. My mother was one of the strongest women that I've ever known in my entire life. But I remember as she walked in, I asked her what was wrong, and all that she could get out was that Christy is dead. Christy is dead. And my sister, Christy, was about a year and a half older than me. We grew up exceptionally close. My mother had 5 children, my mother and father had 5 children, and we were all born within 7 years, and I'm right smack dab in the middle, third. My older sister, Christy, she was a year and a half older than me, as I said earlier, and I never knew any life up until that point without her. And my sister was a good person. She was a positive person. She liked to laugh, have fun, joke. Everybody in our family and almost everybody that knew her adored her. And in the blink of an eye, unexpectedly, she was gone. But not only she, but also her husband, Christopher. We called him Wink. They had been married for a very short time. They had a 6-month-old baby boy, and now all of a sudden he's an orphan. My parents had to raise him as well, which that's been a blessing to them, and they've gotten a lot of joy from that. But my mother was a shell of herself for years after that. And when I say that she was a strong woman, I mean an exceptionally strong woman. And she became someone that I hardly recognized. As a prosecutor, as I stated earlier, I've seen so much death and destruction and chaos, and it's only gotten worse. My sister died in 2005. A few other people that we knew that were close in age to her died. But it didn't seem to be of epidemic proportions at that time. And as time has went along, it's just gone further and further and further. My sister died from taking a methadone pill, but now heroin and meth, it's laced with fentanyl, it's killing people left and right, and it doesn't discriminate. I look at drug use now as classless. It doesn't matter what your gender is, your race, ethnicity, social status. The rich and poor alike are dealing with the consequences of addiction and death. And thank goodness that we've had this miracle Narcan that's been able to resuscitate so many people. And I'm thankful that our county and our state has made it a priority to get this miracle drug out there that saves so many lives, because each life is valuable and each life does matter. It's easy to grow up thinking, well, they're just junkies. The world's better off without them. And that's not true, because for all the death and destruction and mayhem and chaos that I've seen as the result of drug use, I've also seen redemption. I've seen people that turned out to be such an asset to our community, to our churches, to our people, because they recovered. You can be redeemed. And one thing that I think that we've been trying to do here in Rockingham County and Caswell County is we're trying to go to start another court that's aimed at rehabilitation, not just punishment, but also restoration. And we call it recovery court here. And basically some jurisdictions call it drug court. Some jurisdictions have mental health court. What we decided was to do mental health and drug court and call it recovery court and put it together, because usually those two areas are intertwined. Where you have frequent drug use, you have mental health issues. Where you have mental health issues, a lot of times those people turn to drugs. So we're looking at it as a way to try to restore people, restore their dignity, not shame them, not punish them, not make them feel guilty. We're actually trying to help them, because we know that if they are restored, that they can be some of the most productive members of society. And no one has effects on addicts like former addicts, because there's hope there. People can see that this is possible. Addiction can be beat. Led by Judge Christine Strader and many other community partners, we were able to get a very, very generous grant from the KB Reynolds Foundation to fund this, because recovery court is not cheap. And the way that recovery court will work is that a probation officer will intensely supervise a person that chooses to participate in this. And when they participate, they're going to be drug tested frequently. But if they fail a drug test, they're not automatically kicked out of treatment court or recovery court, because we know that this is a process. This takes time, but there's rewards that are given for completing tasks, doing what you're supposed to do. But there's also punishments for not doing what you're supposed to do, but all with the same goal of restoration. It's a lengthy process. I think that it'll probably last for each defendant at least 12 to 18 months. To my constituents, I would say, as district attorney, I take prosecuting crime very seriously. I think that we have to protect our communities from violent crimes, from property crimes, and that people who commit such crimes are worthy of severe punishment. But I can tell you this, prosecuting someone for possession of any controlled substance, any kind of drug, that would be very easy for me. There's really not much involved in prosecuting someone for possession of a controlled substance. You have to prove that they possessed a controlled substance. Not the most difficult thing in the world. What's difficult is actually trying to fix a problem and investing in that person for the betterment of the community. Because if I prosecute someone for possession of meth or possession of cocaine, which I still do, but if you just prosecute them and send them to prison, they're not going to be in there for more than 6 months, maybe a year, and then they're going to be back. And if we haven't addressed the needs, the underlying problems of what has caused that addiction, all that's going to happen is they're going to get out and they're going to start using again. And that doesn't actually benefit our community. So for those out there that think that the easiest thing to do is just put people in prison, well, how long are you going to put them in prison for? Possession of most controlled substances, when it's for personal use, is no higher than a Class I felony. They have to have a very, very, very bad record to even send them to prison to begin with. And once you do, you cannot send them to prison for very long. And I don't want to use my position to score easy convictions. I want to use my position to actually help our community, to help those families, to stop crime. So much crime is committed by people who who are trying to find a way to make money so they can get their next fix. If we can stop people from using, a lot of crime will go away. A lot of crime will go away. Now, I'm not the one with all the numbers. I'm not the one who can tie this all together. But I can tell you from what I've experienced, so much crime is a result of people being addicted to drugs and people selling drugs. And if we can fix this problem, it'd be remarkable how we could transform this community. Because Eden, Reedsville, Madison, Mayodan, Stouffville, Yanceyville, Rockingham County, Caswell County, these are great places to live. I love these communities. I wanted to be back here, and I'm glad that I've had a chance to come back and serve my community. And I've seen the good. I've seen so many people that have come together that have done everything they can to make these communities great. And they are great. And we can continue to keep these communities great by addressing these problems, not stigmatizing them, not making people feel so ashamed that they can't seek help, but not providing resources to actually get them to help. That's not doing anything but encouraging more crime. So if you care about crime, if you care about your community, then you should back this. You should do everything you can to help us, all of us, because it takes a community to solve these problems. I can't do it. The court system can't do it. The county commissioners can't do it. The rehabilitation places can't do it. We are so much stronger when we're all together. And I encourage you, please, please, look at the facts, understand the problem, and then help us. Don't just turn away. Don't just have moral superiority or think that you're better than the people that use drugs. We've all been guilty of that. But I know too many people that have used drugs that were better than me, that fell, that had were going through something that they gave into temptation. And, take heed lest you fall. Be humble and care about your fellow man. To the families that are dealing with individuals, family members that are battling addiction, I would just tell you, do not give up. There is hope. My family has dealt with addiction for years and years and years, and I understand the pain, the frustration, the agony. But I will tell you, there is success. There's other places across this state that have tried new ways of attacking this problem, and they've worked. And that's what we're doing here in Rockingham County. And I would just say, don't give up. Where there's a person still living, there's possibility, there's hope.